Hello everybody, welcome back to my social thread. My name's Crystal and this is my daughter Sienna, who somehow has the giggles. This is like the 5th time we started recording this. She has the giggles, so she was supposed to introduce everybody but she can't. This is Vlogmas day 16 and we are going to start with our advent calendar openings. Kylie in the machine please, Sienna. This is the countdown. Once it's going downwards, we are on box number or window number 9. It's what is it? A lady at a desk.
It's a boy, actually.
It's a boy at a desk. Let's open this one. It's the longest unboxing ever. Ooh, surprise, surprise! Labels! So this one says, you got this. Blue and then bright orange writing. You got this. Kylie and the Machine's logo. And as usual, we have 2 of them. Thank you very much. 2 of them. Two. Next is Fabric Godmother.
Wait, what's the 15?
16.
Which is...
Show them. 16 is the little lady in the Joni print fabric, which I have as well.
Somewhere. Apply sewing labels to your fabric pieces before constructing your garment.
So that's the tips. So, okay, and we're going to guess.
You've never done that.
I know what it... What do you mean? Apply sewing what?
The labels before you...
Your fabric pieces before construction.
You can do it.
Yeah, so I normally do it at the end, but I think if I have an outfit like a dress or a blouse that has a yoke, like a yoke lining, then I will apply it to the, or a facing, I will apply it to that piece before I attach it. But sometimes I have done that before with the Tilly and the Buttons Indigo, and the facing is quite narrow. Well, actually, it's quite wide, but by the time you put the 5/8 seam allowance to the top and then you serge the bottom, and I had already stitched the label onto the facing, it was so close to the seam. So maybe only do that if you know exactly where it's going to. So if you've made the pattern before and you can kind of measure out where it should be, unless of course it's a whole complete yoke lining or a bodice lining, then that's quite large. So you can actually put your label in and not have to worry that it's going to hit the seam allowance. Anyway, sorry, guess what it is.
Labels or paper?
Labels or paper?
Or paper
it's labels again. We're all labelled out. Labels, I think.
Yep.
Yep. So it's from, let's see, what's the label on the thing? Oh, nothing. More Fabric Godmother own labels. So this says, it's got their Fabric Mother logo. And then it says dopamine dressing. So dopamine dressing. It almost sounds like a salad dressing, doesn't it? So dopamine is your good, it's like endorphins. It's your good, what is that? Brain chemicals in your brain that make you happy, or make you happy. So you got 2 of those from Fabric Godmother. So this is, I think, is it the 2nd or the 3rd set now of labels? No, so we had the bespoke leather ones or the faux leather ones.
3.
And what else did we get from I think this is the 3rd set of labels now from Fabric Godmother. So labels and labels, there you go.
Next is Beyond the Pink
Beyond the Pink Door, bag number 16, please.
Put them in order.
Put it camera. Oh, it's this tiny small one. Bag number 16. Can you guess? Guess.
It's more paper-like stuff.
More paper-like stuff.
No, what is it?
So it feels like there's a paper clip in the middle, and then it feels like a card, and then maybe like some string or some elastic around it. I have no idea.
Wow, that is interesting. It is a needle.
Needles! Who would have known? Needles! Sorry, I keep banging on the table and the camera's on. So these are pony black needles, not nickel plated, household times 12 assorted. So hand stitching needles, thank you very much. And Pony is a good brand. I know they do knitting needles and maybe even crochet needles.
I've heard of
and yeah, they're lovely. They look very posh actually. Lovely needles. Okay, let's rate our ratings, our gifts from today's calendar.
Kylie and the Machine
is your first place.
Beyond the Pink Door, Fabric Godmother.
Okay, my one is Beyond the Pink Door with the needles, only because I think needles are essential and they look quite lovely actually. They're like black and then they've got like white heads, which are different. And the only reason I've done that is because I am kind of all labelled out. Like before we started this advent calendar, I already had probably about, I don't know,
30 labels.
30 labels. Now obviously I knew going forward by the Kylie and the Machines advent calendar that I would have more labels, so it's my own fault really, but I didn't realize I was going to get labels in my other 2 calendars as well. So I think Beyond the Pink Door, there was labels from there. They had labeled the very first one, it was the Sewing On, the gorgeous one. So Beyond the Pink Door, I believe we've received 1 pack of labels for their day 1. Fabric Godmother, I believe we've received at least 2 sets, maybe even 3. So sorry, that's my first place, Beyond the Pink Door. Second place is Dopamine Dressing, Fabric Godmother, and third place for me is Kylie and the Machines. Thank you very much, dear helper. Please put these away.
Dear helper.
So these can go in up my IKEA thing.
IKEA thing.
So while Sienna's putting that away, second part of the vlog is normally sewing related. So yesterday I showed you Sienna's Bakerloo dress. She's very, very happy with it. Yeah, yesterday I showed you yesterday. The only thing I failed to mention about the hacks or the changes I made, as I said before, the sleeve I narrowed and shortened in line with the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra long sleeve. I also added ties, which I just self-drafted some ties, and everything else was the same, but the collar, so the collar piece, I basically took 1 inch off the whole side, but I didn't take anything from the middle, otherwise I would have a bigger gap where the 2 collars meet, and that was actually recommended. Goodbye, babe. That was actually, I just said goodbye. That was actually recommended to me by one of my viewers, because originally where the collar was, I know the collar is the statement sort of design feature of the pattern, but for me I just felt it was a bit too large, and so I did say I was going to decrease the whole collar all the way round by 1 inch, but one of my viewers said don't decrease it at the front, because then it wouldn't have the perfect joining sort of point in the middle. So that's all I've got to say about sewing. Actually, I was going to cut out Talia's drawstring dress in the lovely poppy fabric that I got, as in not poppy print, fabric by Poppy from Jenny Stitches, and I had it all ready. I cut out the ribbing, and then I realized I hadn't pre-washed the fabric, and I was so close to just cutting it out altogether, but then because it's kind of like a fleece backed, almost like a light sweatshirting, I thought that could shrink. And I just didn't want to risk that shrinking, so I basically put it in the wash. And talking about the wash, so basically I do about 2 to 3 loads a day of washing, and we also have a dryer, so I do 2 to 3 loads of drying washing. But when I was going to put my fabric in, I still have it in the washing machine. Oh no, I better take it out and just hang it to dry on I've got like a drying horse in the utility room. So I'll put it on that, and I've added some other fabric to it. But just to say that, what was he going to say? So with regards to the cost of living, everything has gone up. My husband and I just received a bill today for our gas for 1 month, a little over a month, maybe like 35 days. It was £550, which is astonishing. That is just super crazy. Electricity is slightly less, but still around £500. That's not including water, that's not including the mortgage, you know, food expenses, petrol, everything else. So everything is just skyrocketing. It's unbelievable. I mean, you hear all these stories about old age pensioners not being able to heat their homes, but I think it's a reality for most people now, not just old age pensioners or people on low incomes, or, you know, single parent families. You know, it's everywhere. And we did have a look, and the price of gas has increased by almost 3 times, and the price of electricity has doubled. And so that's just crazy. I don't know how it's not sustainable for us in the long run. I mean, obviously we can afford it right now, but if this was to go on for like a year or even more, it's just not sustainable for our family. It's not sustainable. So it's just such a huge amount to be paying out on bills, and it's just super crazy. But anyhow, with regards to our dryer, And washing machine, we had already, even before the price increases, we because we've moved to a bigger house, so it's almost double the size of what we had in London, so we had to cut back on things. And basically electricity is cheaper in the evenings or early morning. So for us, I think it's like 11:30 at night, and then until about 6 o'clock in the morning, that's when electricity is, I think it's called the night rate, so it's cheaper then. And so we would normally put the dryer on just before we go. So my husband works quite late, or I normally stay up quite late sewing, so we would normally put the dryer on in the evening, like before we go to bed, and then my husband will wake up early in the morning when he does, and he'll put the dryer on again in the daytime at 6 o'clock-ish, that time. But then we thought, actually, because we do, so if we were doing one load, that's perfect, but because we do 2 to 3 loads, it's not, we're not getting the cycle of washing and drying. It's not going around quick enough. And so recently, so in the summer, we had some solar panels installed, which is a bit of it's a big cost up front, but over time, it's supposed to repay, you're supposed to get your money back for what you've paid for it, and then also electricity. So we had that installed summer, so I don't know, June, July, and we have, I don't know how many panels we have, 8 large panels. And we have that on our garage because the main house is an old Victorian, and the roof structure is, you know, we've got a couple of these, we've got a couple of those, we've got, you know, it's all, I mean, it's a 100-year-old building. There's no kind of big straight roof panel, as it were. It's all kind of eaves. Anyway, we couldn't get solar panels on the main house easily south facing, if that makes sense, but the garage is fairly new. And we just had all our panel, and it's south facing, so we had all our panels attached to the garage, and that filters down to batteries at the bottom of the garage, so the office and then bottom of the garage. So we have about, how many batteries do we have? I'm going to say 18 batteries, but the only reason we have 18 batteries was because solar panels were really, everybody was putting in these solar panels because it was an alternative to you know, paying for electricity. And so the price of solar panels has obviously gone up, and the price of batteries have gone up. And also when we were doing ours, the best batteries around, I think they're called lithium batteries, I mean, don't quote me on that, but they were all out of stock because everybody wanted the lithium batteries. So they're larger and they can store more energy, and they're more expensive, but you only need fewer of those. So if we had lithium batteries, I think we would only need like 4 or 5, but because the lithium batteries weren't available, we had to go for the second lower type of battery, and so we needed more. So I think it was 18 or 50, something like that. So basically the whole stairwell of the garage, so you know where the stairs go up, you've got like the sort of underneath the stairs, that's full of batteries. So anyhow, solar energy goes to the batteries, and then the batteries energy is then wired underneath the ground of the garden, and then it goes into the main house to our consumer unit. So it's quite clever how they did it, actually. So it's directly attached to our consumer unit, which is the electricity board thing. I didn't know what consumer unit was until we moved into this house. And so what happens is during the summer, we live off, all our electricity is off the solar panels, because the sun is shining, the energy goes direct from the solar panels to the battery to the consumer unit, and we are just using sun energy. When the sun goes down in the evenings, or if, for example, we use all this stored energy from the batteries, it then automatically, let's start again. So during the summer, we use solar energy directly during the day because it's sunny, and during the day we only use, say, I don't know, a microwave, maybe the oven, electricity. Computers actually don't take up that much electricity. It's very low wattage or kilowatts, I'm not sure what it is, so they're quite low consumers. So really during the day we don't really use that much, so we're basically free electricity during the day during the summer. And then the energy we don't use gets stored into the batteries, and then in the evenings where there's no solar energy, we then use the battery energy. And then if the battery energy runs out, or we've run out of battery energy, it then automatically switches to the grid, which is your electricity company. and then in the morning it switches back again, which is really quite clever how it does. So it does it all automatically. And what you'll notice now in the well, not you, what we notice now in the house is now and again we'll have like a 1 second flicker of all the lights, and that's when it's switching from solar to batteries to grid, and then grid, batteries. So it just keeps switching to where there is energy. So that was great during the summer. So in the summer we were actually in credit. Can you believe we were in credit for electricity? So we paid nothing, and I think we were in credit by like £15 or something. So that was really great. Now come the winter, obviously there's not as much sun. The solar panels still do still gets some sunlight, but obviously not as much because it is overcast, and so there's not enough solar energy to provide for our electricity needs. So then we go to battery power, and then obviously there's only enough battery power if there's enough solar energy. So we are switching more and more over to the grid during the winter. And the reason I'm telling you that is just you know, a topic with regards to cost of living, and I think it's hitting everybody. I mean, I just hope everybody's, I get emotional so easily. I just hope everybody is still able to, you know, heat their homes, you know, put food on the table. I think it's absolutely crazy what's going on at the moment, and I just think it's just really sad for some people. I mean, we're still surviving, we're doing okay for now, but it's not sustainable. And I think other families out there that are far, as I said, there's always somebody that's in a far worse position than you. I just can't imagine not being able to put food on the table, not being able to heat your home, you know, not being able to do loads of things because the cost of living has gone up, and wages haven't gone up in line with inflation as it should. But there you go. Yes, Gabriel.
Vicks.
Vicks. There might be some in my sideboard drawer or in the bathroom cabinets.
I took all of those.
I'm not sure. Oh, in the medicine cabinet downstairs. Thank you. What else was I going to say? I think that's it really. So solar panels, that's what I was going to say. So solar panels I think are a great idea. Obviously initial investment is quite hefty, but then that should pay itself off, and then again during the summer you'll pretty much have free electricity, which is great. I was going to talk about something else, but I can't quite remember. I already mentioned where we buy the children's clothes next. Oh yeah, sorry, one last story. So yeah, so if we're buying new clothes, ready to wear clothes, I normally go to Next for the children. Myself, I don't buy that many. I don't buy ready to wear clothes at all for myself now. My husband, I don't know if any of your husbands are the same, or the men in your life are the same. He's not. He hates shopping, so he only gets new clothes if I buy him new clothes, and it's a case of me having to buy it, bring it like through Next, him try it on at home, and then I return the stuff that he doesn't want. Like, he hates getting changed in changing rooms. He doesn't like all that, and he's the kind of guy that's like, well, it still fits, there's no holes in it, I could still wear it, you know, that type of thing, which is perfectly true. I mean, it is, you know, if you can, if it's still in good condition and it fits, why not keep wearing it? So as I said, yeah, Next we do that. So yeah, basically with the children, like I said, they've got lots of hand-me-downs from their brothers and sisters, which is great. But every time we have a new baby, I always like to buy a couple of new outfits for the baby and a pack of baby grows, just because it's nice to have something new for each baby. And the way our family has worked out, so we have 8 children, 4 girls, 4 boys, but the pattern is quite funny. So we've had a girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, boy, girl. Does that make sense? So yeah, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, boy, girl. So when I was expecting Xander, I automatically assumed he was a girl because we've always had girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy. What is it called? Lineup is the best word I can come up with it. Sequence, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy sequence. So after Zachary was born and I was expecting Xander, I just assumed it would be a girl, obviously. And so I'd already bought these little outfits for him. I mean, it was again from Next. Just bought a pack of, I love buying newborn baby grows because I think 0 to 3 is so huge on a newborn baby. And it's nice just for the newborn baby to have a couple of nice things. So I always buy a pack of newborn baby grows and then a pack of 0 to 3 baby grows and then a little outfit. So I obviously bought it in pink and floral girly outfits. And then I went for my scan and they told me it was a boy. And I was like, oh no, I've already bought all girls things. So then after my scan, I'd had to go home. I went to get the baby girl stuff that I had bought, and I had to go back to Next, and I had to return them. And they were like, oh, what's the reason for your return? I was like, I'm having a boy. So she was laughing, but in like, not in like a, you know, she was just like, oh. And so I had to return that. So that's a funny story. The other funny story was once, I can't remember who I was pregnant with, but I was with my eldest daughter, Talia, who probably at the time maybe was about 10 or something, you know, 10, like 10 or above. And I must have been pregnant with, I can't remember, let's just say Xander. And it's at Lidl again. Everything happens in Lidl for us. So I was heavily pregnant and I was there with my eldest daughter, and the cashier was like, oh, when are you due? And I said, oh, I'm due, I don't know, in a couple of weeks' time. And she goes, do you know what you're expecting? And I said, we're expecting a boy. And then she looks at my daughter and then she looks at me and she was like, oh, wow, you must be so happy after all these years. You've got a girl and now you're getting a boy. And me and my daughter just looked at each other. We were like, shall we tell her, shall we? And then we just looked at each other, looked at the lady and said, yeah, we're very happy, thank you. And I just thought that was so hilarious, because obviously we had lots of girls and boys in between. And yeah, so we get that a lot. We get all these little stories like, oh yeah, you know. Anyway, I just thought that was quite funny. I thought I'd share that with you. And that's it really. Tomorrow will be day 17. So that's how many? 8 days before Christmas. That's going really quickly. So we are planning to go to London, as I said before. So perhaps 23, 24, 25. I might have to all pre-record that on the 22nd before we head off. And that's it really. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again tomorrow. Please do continue to comment below. I do love reading your comments and I do try to reply to as many as I can as soon as possible. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.